7 Somali pirates, armed with AK-47s and ambition, thought they had found easy prey. They had just triggered the worst and last mistake of their lives. In the Arabian Sea, it was a textbook ambush. Under the cover of darkness, 2 small skiffs, packed with armed men, closed in on their target, the motor vessel Magellan Star. To the pirates, it was just another slow-moving, vulnerable cargo ship, another payday. They scrambled aboard, seizing the crew, and believed they were in control. They had no idea they had just thrown a punch at a giant. Unseen on the horizon, a floating fortress had already locked onto them. The USS Ashland LSD-48, a 600-foot U.S. Navy amphibious dock landing ship, was on patrol. Its crew, trained to a razor's edge and yearning for purpose, had intercepted the Magellan Star's desperate, broken mayday call. The pirates had chosen their prey. The U.S. Navy was about to choose their fate. What happened next was not a battle. It was an annihilation. By 2010, Somali piracy had reached an almost industrial scale. Young men, barely adults, were drawn into a life of crime on the ocean. Ships were hijacked for ransom, crews held hostage for weeks or months, and sometimes executed if demands weren't met. The men in this skiff were no strangers to danger. Hassan's scarred face told of previous encounters. They had evaded European patrols, bribed local militias, and stormed merchant ships before. But today, their arrogance blinded them. They were about to learn what happened when hubris meets overwhelming force. The Ashland wasn't just a ship. It was a mobile fortress of American naval power. 25mm Bushmaster chain guns, capable of firing 180 rounds per minute, multiple 50-caliber machine guns, positioned to cover every approach, Mark 38 automatic cannons, capable of shredding small boats from 2,000 yards, armor plating protecting vital systems, including the bridge and engine rooms, a radar system capable of tracking fast-moving targets over 20 nautical miles. The Ashland's crew had been trained for years to repel pirate attacks. Officers on the bridge tracked the skiff closing in. Range: 500 yards, 400 yards, 300 yards. Weapons were locked, sailors poised. Every heart on board knew this was about to become a deadly encounter. The skiff surged forward, engines screaming. Hassan raised the RPG, aiming at what he thought was the weak hull of a cargo ship. His hand shook, adrenaline coursing through him. Behind him, bullets rattled off the Ashland's armored hull. "Engage!" the officer of the deck commanded calmly. The Mark 38 chain gun swung into position. One shot cut through the skiff's hull, splintering fiberglass. The engine erupted in flames. Pirates screamed as fire engulfed their craft. One man plunged into the waves. Another clutched a fragment of the charred boat. Chaos consumed them. The Ashland immediately deployed rescue craft, not to punish, but to save lives. 6 pirates were pulled from the water, shackled, and treated for burns and gunshot wounds. One was already dead. The pirates had attacked the wrong ship. They had assumed any vessel without visible armament was fair game. They had not accounted for the overwhelming firepower and tactical expertise of a U.S. Navy warship. Statistics from the region underscored the risk. Somali pirates attempted over 600 attacks between 2005 and 2010, average ransom collected per ship, $1 to $9 million. By 2010, 20-plus NATO, EU, and private warships patrolled the high-risk waters, yet young pirates driven by desperation and greed often misjudged targets. Today, that misjudgment would be catastrophic. Inside the Ashland, the crew moved with precision. Radar operators tracked the fleeing skiff. Weapon systems were engaged. Sailors manned the .50 caliber machine guns and Mark 38 cannons, ready to neutralize any threat. On board, the ship's captain, Commander Thomas Reynolds, issued calm, decisive orders. Do not underestimate them. Do not fire until necessary. We are prepared, but we do not wish to kill if we can avoid it. Every officer knew the stakes. One mistake, one miscalculation, and a life could be lost. Every action mattered. From the pirates' perspective, the encounter was chaotic. They had expected fear, surrender, and an easy victory. Instead, the Ashland moved with confidence, precision, and overwhelming superiority. Hassan shouted orders. "Fire the RPG! We can take this ship!" But reality was brutal. The chain gun raked the skiff, tearing the deck apart. Men went overboard. Smoke and fire consumed what had been their prize. The Gulf of Aden, notorious for piracy, had seen thousands of attacks. But this was not a routine skirmish. This was a lesson in the futility of arrogance. The incident was not just a local skirmish. Across the region, Somali pirate networks learned the hard lesson. Attacking a U.S. Navy ship was not an option. Families, clans, and criminal networks spread word of the disaster. For the Ashland's crew, it was a demonstration of tactical superiority. They had repelled an attack with no casualties among themselves, neutralized enemy combatants, and maintained full control of the situation. The survivors from the skiff were taken aboard for questioning and medical treatment. The U.S. Navy, following strict protocols, ensured they were secured, treated, and prepared for transfer to legal authorities. Their plans for ransom and plunder had ended before they had even begun. On deck, sailors surveyed the scene, burning wreckage of a small skiff, scattered weapons, and the stark reminder of how quickly fortune can turn into disaster. The Ashland systems continued to monitor the surrounding waters for other threats, fully operational and ready. The pirates' dream of ransom, wealth, and notoriety had been replaced with a harsh reality: capture, humiliation, and defeat. For the U.S. Navy, the encounter was a textbook demonstration of force projection, readiness, and precision. It reinforced the message that any attempt at piracy against U.S. assets would be met with overwhelming force. Weapon systems were validated under live conditions. Crew readiness and training were confirmed. Rules of engagement were executed perfectly, balancing lethal and non-lethal measures. For the pirates, it was a lesson in misjudgment. Youth, desperation, and greed had collided with one of the most powerful naval forces on Earth. Across the globe, naval analysts noted the event as a pivotal moment in counter-piracy operations. Small, fast pirate skiffs were vulnerable against well-armed, disciplined naval vessels. Even with luck and daring, attacking the wrong target could mean instant destruction. The Indian Ocean stretched endlessly, a silver expanse under the midday sun. The USS Ashland had just repelled the first skiff when the radar picked up new movement. More pirates, smaller skiffs racing toward what they still believed was an easy target. Hassan's surviving crew members lay restrained below deck, seething with fear and disbelief. Their mission had begun with confidence, arrogance, and greed, but it had ended in humiliation and near death. Outside, the remaining pirate boats were unaware of the disaster that had just befallen their comrades. Radar operators tracked 4 additional skiffs, each moving at nearly 30 knots, converging on the Ashland from different angles. Commander Thomas Reynolds, standing on the bridge, gave orders calmly: maintain formation, weapons hot but controlled, observe their patterns, prepare for escalation. The Ashland's crew immediately engaged defensive maneuvers, positioning the ship to maximize coverage from its Mark 38 cannons, 25mm chain guns, and .50 caliber machine guns. Helicopters from the deck took to the skies, hovering above the pirates as surveillance and a deterrent. From the perspective of the approaching skiffs, the Ashland was still just another large vessel. They did not know its capabilities. As the skiffs neared, the pirates prepared to unleash RPGs and AK-47s, hoping to intimidate the crew and force a surrender. But the U.S. Navy had anticipated such audacity. Missiles weren't necessary. Overwhelming precision fire would do. As the nearest skiff came within 500 yards, the Mark 38 chain gun rumbled to life. The air was pierced with the deafening roar of gunfire, the metallic staccato echoing across the waves. Fiberglass splintered, engines caught fire, and the skiff veered sharply, losing control. Another skiff tried to circle, attempting to approach from the rear, but a .50 caliber machine gun from the port side cut a line of tracer bullets directly across its bow. Flames erupted along its deck as terrified pirates leapt overboard. 2 skiffs were destroyed in less than 2 minutes. Chaos erupted on the water. The remaining skiffs slowed, guns shaking in panicked hands, unsure whether to retreat or fight. From the bridge, Commander Reynolds coordinated the crew with military precision. Prepare helicopter insertion teams. Maintain perimeter fire. Do not allow boarding. On the deck, sailors operated Phalanx CIWS systems, ready to intercept any RPGS or fast-moving skiffs. Above, MH-60 Seahawk helicopters circled, equipped with FLIR sensors to track heat signatures of the remaining pirates. Inside the helicopters, Navy SEALs prepared to board if necessary. Every move was pre-planned, rehearsed countless times. The goal: neutralize threats without collateral damage to the Ashland. Hassan's surviving men, shackled below deck, could hear the chaos outside. One whispered, terrified, "We attacked the wrong ship." The words weren't just observation. They were a realization of the severity of their misjudgment. The Ashland was no cargo vessel. It was a floating fortress of American naval power, armed with everything needed to obliterate any small pirate skiff within minutes. The remaining pirates, now aware of the firepower arrayed against them, hesitated. Panic set in. Commands were shouted in Somali, confusion mounting. Some fired their weapons blindly, hoping to make a miracle happen. There would be none. Commander Reynolds observed the skiffs attempting to regroup. Target the largest threats first. Keep perimeter fire continuous. Prepare boarding team for survivors, he ordered. From the deck, the Ashland unleashed a stream of precision fire, each shot disabling engines and shredding weapon systems. The skiffs were no match. Two more were immobilized within seconds, their crews thrown into the sea. The Navy helicopters maintained a tactical advantage, cameras feeding live images to the bridge. The Ashland's crew watched as chaos and confusion overtook the pirates. The Seahawk helicopters were more than just observation platforms. They were instruments of psychological warfare. Their shadows loomed over the skiffs, rotors slicing through the humid air. Navy snipers positioned inside the helicopters targeted pirate leaders, ensuring that command and coordination among the pirates collapsed. A pirate raised an RPG at the Ashland, hoping for a strike, but a sniper's bullet ended the threat instantly. Others hesitated, too terrified to continue the assault. After the skiffs were neutralized, the Ashland launched RHIB, rigid hull inflatable boats, to recover pirates from the water. 7 pirates were captured alive, including the leader of the first skiff attack. Medical treatment was administered immediately, following Navy protocols. Surviving pirates were interrogated and prepared for transfer to legal authorities in Djibouti, a hub for Somali piracy prosecution. The process was methodical, professional, and effective. The Navy had destroyed the pirate attack without sustaining casualties, demonstrating the lethal combination of firepower, training, and strategic planning. News of the encounter spread quickly. Media outlets ran headlines: "Somali pirates attack U.S. Navy ship, instantly destroyed." Naval analysts worldwide emphasized the lesson. Even experienced pirates could fail catastrophically when underestimating modern naval vessels. Governments in the Gulf region reinforced shipping patrols, while insurance companies recalculated risks for vessels transiting the area. Somali pirate attacks in 2010 had already cost shipping companies millions. The attempted hijacking of a U.S. Navy ship sent a clear message: American naval vessels are not negotiable targets. The encounter underscored the importance of training, coordination, and preparedness. Target misjudgment. Pirates often attacked vessels assuming minimal defense. This case demonstrated that modern warships are almost impossible to intimidate. Overwhelming force. The Ashland's firepower neutralized threats instantly without risking the crew. Psychological dominance. Helicopters, snipers, and visible firepower crushed morale before the pirates could adjust. Hassan later admitted in a report filed by Naval Intelligence, "We believed it was a cargo ship. We were wrong. We never imagined such firepower. Our plan ended before it began." The operation became a reference for counter-piracy doctrine. Deploying amphibious ships with integrated air and surface assets is highly effective. Rapid helicopter deployment ensures visual and tactical superiority. Non-lethal capture and treatment of pirates is feasible while maintaining security. Even the U.S. Navy's leadership emphasized the importance of showing restraint and professionalism. The Ashland had demonstrated overwhelming power without unnecessary loss of life, reinforcing global confidence in American naval dominance. Back in Somalia, news of the failure spread like wildfire. Hassan's clan received word: 7 pirates captured, multiple skiffs destroyed. The message was clear: Attacking U.S. Navy ships was suicide. Pirate leaders convened meetings, reconsidering strategies, routes, and targets. Many decided to avoid American ships entirely, focusing instead on merchant vessels with known weak defenses. On the Ashland, Commander Reynolds debriefed his crew. "You executed flawlessly. We neutralized the threat with 0 casualties. Every sailor, every gunner, every helicopter pilot performed with precision. Remember this: training saves lives. Discipline saves lives." Sailors reflected on the event with pride. They had witnessed firsthand the consequences of hubris and the effectiveness of preparation. 4 skiffs destroyed. Engines and weapons obliterated, 7 pirates captured and detained, 0 casualties aboard the Ashland mission, objectives achieved within 30 minutes of initial contact. For the pirates, the ocean had become a theater of consequences. Youth, greed, and desperation collided with American military might, leaving no room for error. For the U.S. Navy, the encounter validated training, firepower, and strategy. It demonstrated that even small skiffs with automatic weapons were utterly no match for a warship like the Ashland. The world took notice. Shipping lanes became safer, insurance rates adjusted, and Somali pirate networks re-evaluated the dangers of overreaching. The Gulf of Aden, notorious for piracy, had delivered a brutal lesson: never target the wrong ship. And for the men of the USS Ashland, the operation became a story of precision, dominance, and professionalism. A reminder that the seas belong to those prepared to defend them. The pirates who had dared to dream of fortune now faced chains, humiliation, and the indelible lesson of American naval power. The Indian Ocean returned to calm, the waves rolling gently against the massive hull of the Ashland. Above, helicopters hovered briefly, then returned to base. Below, restrained pirates awaited their fate. And somewhere on the horizon, the lesson lingered. Hubris on the high seas carries the ultimate price.